Join the conversation.
Hello? Hello?
Live on the Exchange Podcast with Loopy Rose.
Welcome to the exchange. Let the truth ignite. When Loopy Rose, we bring the dark to light. The exchange. Conversation, controversy on the stage. Join the spark, feel the flame. This is the exchange. Step inside, no filter, no disguise. Pull the curtain back, expose the lies. Wall Street gangs, government chains. Truth for the people runs deep in our veins. Tune in, join in, don't wait. Conversation sparks change. Elevate. From corruption to courage, let the mic engage. This is the heartbeat, the exchange. The exchange.
You're listening to Loopy Rose on the Exchange.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Rape of Wall Street docuseries. Thank you for joining me. Let's jump right into it. In episode 1, we brought you into the Rape of Wall Street. We talked about my past, my childhood, and what led me to this place. Thank you for joining me on this journey through everything She Beverage Company. Now, let me take you deeper into the creation of She Beer and the team that helped bring this vision to life. I reached out to people I trusted, old colleagues from the music industry who knew how to execute ideas and get things done. The first person I called was my graphic designer. He had worked on my CD covers and all my branding before, so we already had a rhythm. I'd describe what I wanted and he'd bring it to life perfectly. Unlike some people who put their own spin on your ideas, he got it every single time. I told him about this new project I was starting and invited his input. He was all in from the start. My first requests were simple, bottle types. I wanted the bottle to be different, designed for women, by women, sexy, unique. I imagined a bottle with a special top that would protect a woman's lipstick when she took a sip, so she wouldn't have to put her whole mouth on the bottle. We designed a crown-like cap that was both beautiful and functional. It was exactly what I pictured. We ran into challenges with manufacturers who didn't quite know how to execute the design, but we pushed through. The final bottle was gorgeous. Some people loved it, some didn't, but most women were excited. Next came the label design. I sketched out my ideas and my designer executed them flawlessly. Then I focused on the slogan. I wanted something catchy, timeless, and sustainable. I landed on Queen of Beer, a title that felt right for a brand created for women by women. I trademarked it and proudly put it on every label. I was genuinely excited about the progress we were making. Finding the right brewer came next. I connected with someone who had just closed their business, and we met after one of my son's football games in Ventura, California. I shared my vision, the designs, the flavors, the feel. I was a little apprehensive because I wanted a woman brewer, but that was hard to find. Still, I believed that if I communicated clearly, we could create something authentic and true to the brand. Meanwhile, the team grew. I invited a few people from my music days to join the beverage journey, but not everyone shared the vision. Some wanted to change the name, the focus, or the product itself. I had to remind them this was my dream and my brand. Those who stayed were the ones who mattered. One of the best decisions I made was bringing in a friend from New York, someone who had grown with me in the music industry. She believed in the vision and agreed to help introduce the brand in her area while I handled mine. She didn't care that I couldn't pay her right away. She was all in. She's still one of my closest friends and confidants today. I also brought on my partner's son, my son, in many ways, who was leaving the mortgage industry. I told him pay would be tight, but he wanted to join the journey. Another friend with celebrity connections joined to help spread the word, despite the budget constraints. I applied for our ABC license from my home office. By then, I had sold everything except the house. My partner saw the progress and suggested selling our dream home to fund growth. I was hesitant but excited. We sold it, and the capital helped us keep moving forward. She also suggested expanding beyond beer, maybe an energy drink, to broaden our shelf presence. I loved the idea, but after researching, I realized most energy drinks were full of sugar and chemicals I didn't want in my products. Instead, I pivoted to creating supplement drinks, something holistic and healthy. That led to developing a line of supplement waters for men, women, and kids. I felt ready to find a lab to bring these products to life. Back to the beer, after about a year, we had 4 different styles ready in large gallon jugs. I'll never forget meeting with the brewer after my son's championship game in Ventura. From concept to creation, we made it happen. It was a huge milestone. The supplement drinks, which I called Supplement H2O, were still in development, but I was excited about what was coming. My partner worried about some of the recipes, but I kept pushing, saying, "Research, baby, research." I wasn't an expert in the beverage world, but I was determined to learn and make it work. I was feeling the pressure. I knew I needed to grow the business, maybe find an office or a commercial building to really take things to the next level. So I turned to a colleague who worked for the city, thinking he might help me navigate city resources or even help me get a loan for working capital. That's when he surprised me. He wasn't just working for the city anymore. He was also with the Small Business Administration, the SBA. Although he was aware of many financial options, he introduced me to Kickstarter, a crowdfunding platform I hadn't even heard of. He walked me through how I could upload my designs and vision, and how people could support the project in exchange for rewards. Anything from t-shirts to memberships or bigger perks. I didn't fully understand crowdfunding yet, but I thought, why not? I was ready to try anything. So with his help, I set up my first Kickstarter page and I shared it on my Facebook page. Around that time, after selling our home and downsizing, we moved into a condo. I had an office set up there, but honestly, I was outgrowing the space fast. It felt like no matter where I was pushing hard to make this brand work. What struck me most were the reactions from people around town. Friends, neighbors, even my son's coaches. They saw me at the bus stop or driving my mom's car and started asking if everything was okay. One of my friends pulled up to the bus stop and asked if I needed a ride. I respectfully declined. She asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yup, I'm good." They thought I'd lost it all. They had no idea I was pouring everything I had into this business, investing in a dream they couldn't yet see. It was a lonely feeling, but it made me even more determined to prove them wrong. I felt like people were secretly talking about me amongst themselves. That's how it felt anyway. Social media was picking up, and so was my Kickstarter page. The sharing of my page was taking shape. It was incredible. Almost immediately, I got a message from a woman interested in investing. I didn't know much about investors back then. I'd funded everything myself, so I asked a legal friend if I should even consider investors. He said yes, so I agreed to meet her. The connection was uncanny. It was funny how we actually met, though. She shared my Kickstarter page, and her niece called her asking how she knew me. Turns out, her niece was dating my nephew. Small world, right? We met at a business mixer, and the next day I had invited her to sample the beer I just had brewed days before. She was thrilled, not only to invest, but to help with the launch. We vibed so well, I immediately took to her. Most importantly, I can tell she believed in the dream and the vision. It's like she knew what I was thinking at times. I loved it. She owned a few local companies. One of them was a construction company. I told her that I was currently seeking a location. She told me she wanted to show me a location of hers she was barely using, and we ended up using her company's site for our first physical location. Things were really starting to take shape. She was also a nurse in the medical field, but her other business was focusing on moms and prenatal care. After hearing my vision, she suggested adding a prenatal water to our supplement line. That was pure genius. I love the idea. I went back to the drawing board and created the first prenatal water under our Supplement H2O brand. Then came the lab. Finding the right place to produce the supplement drinks felt like a huge hurdle. I found a lab in San Diego and made the 3-hour drive with my partner in tow. She was skeptical the whole way, nagging a little like only a spouse can, constantly wondering if I'd made a mistake or if my formulations were off. She wasn't as optimistic as I was. But when we got to the lab, the chemist and the team couldn't believe that I had created all those formulations on my own. They called me a genius. Honestly, I couldn't believe it either. When I'm working, especially when I'm creating, I totally zone out. I just get in the flow and let it happen. There weren't many delays or setbacks. The lab was impressed by how ready and refined my recipes were. We ended up staying in San Diego for a few weeks. We spent quite a bit on research and development. This was one time I didn't need to convince her that we needed to go to the suitcase. In fact, she was so excited that she informed me that we needed to dip in the suitcase. We witnessed greatness in the making right before our eyes. The formulations were in development. We chose flavors, bottles, sweetener. We were at the lab every day. We tasted every batch, checked every label, and made sure everything was exactly right. This wasn't just a product to me, it was my vision coming to life. That moment, getting the lab's approval and seeing it all come together, became one of my proudest accomplishments. There it was, our first 12 bottles of different supplement waters produced and completed. Supplement H2O for women was born, and I was ready for the next chapter of creation. Supplement H2O for children and men, but that would require another trip. I had to get back home and share this with the team. I was so excited to get back home and couldn't wait to share the product with the team. On the way, my partner and I talked about inviting our first investor to become a partner. She had been working so hard, juggling her day job and still taking meetings with us. She was generous with her business location, letting us use it for She Beverage Company, and I felt it was only right to offer her a small partnership. I wanted to surprise her with it when we got home. I also wanted to finalize the paperwork and licensing, but I knew I needed to include her if she wanted to be a partner. I wanted her on all our licenses from the start, sharing the journey from day one, alongside our ABC license. I'd learned we needed to register with the TTB, the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, a federal agency responsible for excise taxes and consumer protections in the alcohol and tobacco industries. We also had to register barcodes for each product, so I took care of ordering those to barcode our beer and supplement waters. We had more research and development executed on the beer side, with additional recipes created for the beer from some additional brewers, and I also had some hard lemonades created, but we still didn't have any beer ready or manufacturer. I reached out to my contact in Ventura to see if he knew any options for beer manufacturing. He introduced me to a friend who would become our beer manufacturer, conveniently located about an hour north of where I lived. The team and I took a trip to his brewery and immediately fell in love. We knew we wanted to take our beer game to the next level. Owning our own brewery was the dream, but now wasn't the time. We focused on manufacturing first and promised ourselves we'd revisit brewery ownership later. At the brewery, we talked flavors and palates. Our new business partner was especially excited about expanding beyond beer. She loved ciders, wines, and hard lemonades. So we added a hard pink lemonade to our lineup pink to match our logo. We called it Hard Pink. Next came naming the beers. I wanted each product to be named after women, inspired by how women love playing with hair colors. Our dark lager was brunette, the Cali amber became redhead, and the citrus flavor was dirty blonde. We also had a 99-calorie beer called Slender. These were our first queens. To address feedback about including men, we created a few for them too. Black Tie, a smooth stout, Boss, an IPA. I also created Curves, a honey lemon pale ale. I named Curves after my friend from New York, a big, beautiful, curvy woman who inspired the flavor and the name. Curves was our nod to big, beautiful women everywhere. Before we knew it, manufacturing was in full swing. We had 10 products in our first inventory. Unbelievable. I surprised the team. They didn't know I'd been meeting with the manufacturer or that the beer was ready. The timing was perfect. There was a local event coming up, and we jumped at the chance to introduce our products to the community. The response was amazing. Men were drinking the hard pink lemonade like never before. We even paired it with ice cream from a vendor next door. and it became a huge hit. We were definitely the talk of the town. From there, we started walking our products into local stores and grocery chains, Vons, Hagen's, Shell gas stations, Arco, Stater Brothers, liquor stores. Every local grocery had a bottle of She Beer in their offices. We met with corporate offices, local pubs, and distributors. People were excited, and so were we. As our inventory dwindled and our license got approved, it was time to level up. Our first big order came in from Hagen's, 10 pallets of beer. We couldn't have asked for better timing. I had already trademarked Queen of Beer, She, and our supplement H2O brand. As we pushed forward, I started approaching bigger grocery chains. It was time to put She Beer on the map. Then, the unbelievable happened. We got invited to present at Walmart's open call for American products. This was it. By this time, the team was growing. I recruited some of my mom's friends, retired and stay-at-home folks, to help run the office while I handled outside sales. We hadn't hired a formal sales team yet, so I was doing the sales and deliveries myself. My son even helped with deliveries. It was exciting but exhausting. My partner kept her day job, and our new business partner did too, so it became clear we needed to hire more people. As She Beer started growing like wildfire, there was no turning back. We were headed to Walmart's open call in Bentonville, Arkansas. Bentonville. I'd never been to Arkansas before, so just getting there felt like stepping into uncharted territory. I've flown plenty, but honestly, I hate flying. I'm terrified of it. Still, my partner and our new business partner both took off work. My partner traveled with me, and my business partner stood back to hold down the fort back home. It was go time. Nervous, excited, and a little scared, I reminded myself, I'm a salesperson at heart, not by official trade, but by instinct, and I've been damn good at it. So we packed up all 10 of our products, She Beer, Hard Pink, the whole lineup, and hit the road. Walking into that Walmart open call was like stepping into the big leagues. Other vendors were there with their own stories, their own hustle. Distributors talked about their long-standing relationships with Walmart, the deals they'd made, and the doors it had opened. The energy was electric. From clothing to spirits, toys to beverages, it was a showcase of American entrepreneurship at its finest. When they finally called our names, my heart was pounding. We walked into the room with the buyers, brochures in hand, top-notch, glossy, hot pink marketing materials for both She Beer and supplement H2O, designed to make an impact. We introduced each product with confidence. The dark lagers, the hard lemonades, the whole range. Before we knew it, they ordered it all. Every single product. They said they'd be in touch about the size of their first order. We were stunned. Could this really be happening? Back at the hotel, my phone rang. It was the front desk my mother had called looking for me. Now, my mom isn't the type to hunt me down like that, so my nerves spiked. I called her immediately. "Are you sitting down?" she asked, breathless. "What's wrong?" I said. "Calm down," she said. "I got a call from the news." "The news?" I asked, confused. "Channel 9. They want to talk about you." My excitement about Walmart instantly mixed with confusion and dread. Why was the news looking for me? Before I could process it, my mom said she wanted to send Janet to talk to them. Janet was one of my employees, a retired older woman, and one of my mom's best friends, who handled admin work for us. "Why Janet?" I asked. "And why Budweiser?" My mom started scolding me, the way only moms do, telling me to slow down and listen. Apparently the news and Budweiser were connected. The news wanted to talk to me about a lawsuit that Budweiser had filed, she said. I was completely flabbergasted. "A lawsuit?" I said. "What lawsuit?" "Budweiser is suing She Beverage Company," she said, "for stealing their slogan." I was dumbfounded. What slogan? The Queen of Beer? I'd never even seen Budweiser use that. The news editor called me directly to explain. Budweiser had just announced publicly that they were suing us for trademark infringement over the phrase Queen of Beer. They hadn't sent a letter. They hadn't tried to reach out privately. They just dropped it like a bombshell. I felt devastated and blindsided. The next day, as I was preparing to fly home, the media frenzy was already in full swing. As our plane descended, the airport was swarming with reporters and cameras, like paparazzi waiting for a celebrity. In fact, I was wondering who was on the plane when I had seen them. People nearby whispered, wondering who was arriving, as did we. Little did they know it was me. They wanted my side of the story. How did I feel about She Beverage Company being sued by Budweiser? I told them exactly what I thought. The big bully Budweiser had their panties in a bunch, trying to stomp out the little guy. It brought back memories of unfair fights and David versus Goliath battles. I wasn't backing down. By the time I got home, my interview was everywhere, on every news channel, splashed across social media. The Queen of Beer being sued by Budweiser, it was viral. But here's the twist. God has a way of flipping the script. That media storm landed us in Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, and countless other major outlets. The lawsuit was the best advertising we could have ever dreamed of. The little brand standing up to the giant, people loved it. I was disappointed, sure, that a major brand with so much power wouldn't lend a hand to a smaller company trying to make its way. But that's just the name of the game in big business. When you feel threatened, you try to eliminate the threat. Budweiser learned quickly that She Beverage Company wasn't going anywhere, at least not because of them. Back home, after the news about Budweiser suing She Beverage Company exploded, something incredible happened. We gained a whole new wave of fans. People started reaching out, wanting to join our fight, invest in our movement. The momentum was undeniable. I was ordering anywhere from 10 to 20 pallets at a time, stocking up, anticipating that Walmart order. Then, finally, the call came. My Walmart buyer asked if we could fulfill just one case of every product to every Walmart store, almost 5,000 stores at the time. I was floored. Could this really be happening? I immediately called our manufacturer to see if we could scale up production. His answer was a blunt no. He couldn't help us produce at that volume. What struck me was his tone. There was this weird resentment, almost bitterness in how he asked how we managed to get into Walmart so quickly when we'd barely launched. He said the most he could do was 10 to 20 pallets at a time. That was a wake-up call. We absolutely had to build our own brewery if we wanted to keep moving forward. We started scouting locations and pricing brewing equipment. We couldn't afford to lose Walmart. We told Walmart we couldn't fulfill their full order, but asked if we could start smaller. They agreed, and we launched in 68 stores. Then we had to scale back even more because of ongoing issues with the manufacturer. Still, we were in Walmart. We began delivering across Southern and Northern California. Beyond Walmart, we secured shelf space with Vons, returning product every single week. We even got invited to a local beer fest at a nearby casino. The buzz around She Beverage Company was growing fast. It was clear. Time to step up our game. We needed TV commercials to amplify our story, especially with the Budweiser litigation still looming. Our growth wasn't just in sales. We were hiring staff and expanding our product line. I went back to the drawing board and developed a supplement shot called High Gravity Octane, packed with 146 minerals and antioxidants in a 2-ounce shot designed for extreme sports enthusiasts. We were on fire, but growth brought new challenges. We'd outgrown the 1,200 square foot facility we'd been leasing from our business partner. To celebrate and attract more investors, we threw a launch party. Interest was overwhelming. Still, I was the only one consistently grinding. I asked my business partner if she'd consider calling in sick from her day job to attend meetings with me. I was delivering, building, selling, doing whatever it took. Even with delivery help, it was tough. One day, that colleague who helped me with the Kickstarter stopped by the office. He couldn't believe the growth we'd built. I told him I'd shut down the Kickstarter page after the first investor came on board, who is now my business partner. He was surprised he was already working with investors and suggested I meet some of his contacts in the investment world. Before I knew it, I wasn't just attracting investors. I had people interested in buying the company outright. It was overwhelming. Everything was happening way too fast. It was time to find someone who really knew this side of the business, someone who could help me navigate this new territory. While my partner was still working her day job, she started getting an overwhelming number of people from her workplace wanting to invest in She Beverage Co. Word was spreading fast, and investors were knocking on our door. I had to turn away some who wanted to take over, but I did let a few of her coworkers in. At first, it felt like a blessing, people believing in us, wanting to be part of the journey. But some of those investments quickly turned into a curse. 2 guys, a gay couple, were among those I let invest. They seemed enthusiastic, showing up to meetings, understanding our trajectory. They were nightclub regulars, and at the time I didn't see anything wrong with them sharing the product in their circles. But soon, I started getting calls about their wild behavior, getting drunk at the bars where they were pushing our product. One bar even banned them for life. I was mortified. Then, I saw them on Facebook, throwing a backyard party stocked with She Beverage and She Beer. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved to provide them product for their party, but stealing from us? That crossed a line. That's when I realized growth comes with its own set of messy problems. Meanwhile, I felt it was time to diversify beyond beer. I wanted to hold off on releasing supplement H2O for now. That was advice from a colleague who wanted to introduce me to some serious investment contacts. He was convinced the next step was taking the company public. Because of our rapid growth and popularity, he even suggested O could be trading on Wall Street and didn't like the idea of me just paying dividends to investors. I knew nothing about IPOs or going public, but I took his advice to delay supplement H2O and reserving that as an asset that can help us later on the public market should we choose to be there. Instead, I launched an alkaline water brand called Sip by She. We developed different versions: a CBD-infused alkaline water with electrolytes, Youth H2O for young athletes, a formula for moms to manage their alkaline and electrolyte intake, plus a classic 9.5 alkaline water and spring water, all under the Sip by She Beverage Company umbrella. We kept manufacturing beer, but water became our next big shelf hit, a whole new revenue stream, a fresh wave of growth. Exciting times. And then, finally, we found a building that felt just right. An old shoe store in the Lancaster marketplace, a massive 10,000 square foot space visible right off the freeway. We toured it and knew this was home. Sure, it was a shoe store, so plumbing had to be installed and everything needed upgrading to turn it into a brewery and tasting room. There was also a separate 2,500 square foot section within the building we had plans for. It was perfect, a beautiful big space ready to launch our official She Beverage Co. brand and brewery. We were buzzing with excitement. Now came the work of securing new licenses, a conditional use permit, and moving the business to this new location. We signed a 10-year lease. The whole team was pumped. On top of that, my colleague set up a meeting with a Wall Street consultant based in Las Vegas, someone who could guide us on the big financial moves ahead. We had our work cut out for us, but we knew we were on the right track. Next, to the city. People were wanting to assist our growth by any means necessary. I got a call from my son's mother-in-law. She told me there was a close friend of hers that was interested in becoming a partner in She Beverage Company. She said he had owned a publicly traded company and that he had a couple of $1 million that he would use in his potential partnership buy-in, and that he knew the ropes in taking companies public, and that since we'd been exploring that path, maybe I'd want to meet him. I said, sure, why not? We connected over the phone, and he sounded sharp, full of ideas and confidence. He wanted to buy out every single one of our current investors. His pitch? He'd put in $2.5 million if we bought out our partners. Then he'd take half the company and push us into the public market. At first, I wasn't sure if this was genius or a trap, but the money for growth was tempting. After he and I spent some time talking, He started giving me advice, serious mentorship about investors and investments, things I hadn't fully grasped yet. He pointed out how we'd been letting people invest bit by bit, no real minimum or maximum, just friends and family throwing in what they could. He said we needed to clean that up. I trusted him. He felt like a guide showing me the ropes of a new game. So I started reaching out to our investors. I asked them if they wanted to stay part of the ride or if they wanted out, if they prefer to be bought out. I told them things were moving fast and we had someone ready to buy their shares. Most jumped at the chance to get their money back rather than the continuation of the risk. I began buying people out. I was using my own money to buy out older investors, figuring I would be reimbursed by the potential new partner or investor. I made a dumb mistake. I didn't have a contract in place. 2 people I approached were that gay couple I'd let in earlier. Since we hadn't booted them before, I thought this was their exit too. But they said no. They wanted to stay. Others sold, some stayed. Just as we were digging deeper into this potential partner or investor's background, we found out he already had a publicly traded company, a shell company that was in trouble, and that he was basically looking for assets to fill it. It was a penny stock company, and things weren't looking good. I decided to seek advice from my SBA colleague and his friends in the investment world. Their advice was simple: run, run, run. So I backed out. I didn't want to be involved in any shady or unstable deal. He understood, no hard feelings, and we agreed to keep moving forward on our own terms. As things were starting to settle back down some, ironically, I received a call from the same gay couple that had been giving the company problems, asking if they could be bought out after all. I thought, here we go again with these 2. Now that I'd bought out most of the others, and I didn't move forward with the investor, and I just spent a few $100,000 of unbudgeted money, I wasn't in the immediate position to reimburse them. I asked them for a little more time. Then I would revisit their request now that we weren't partnering with the Wall Street guy. I told them to hold tight, to work with me and stay calm. They didn't. They definitely found a way to continue to make my life miserable. Meanwhile, one of my employees, excited about the new big building, brought his wife and another woman to meet with us. They said they wanted to run the center, throw parties and events. Until I had formally opened, I declined. We weren't ready for that, especially since we hadn't even secured our conditional use permit or passed fire inspections yet. My employee got upset. Things went south quickly. I had to fire him. He was upset that I didn't give his wife an opportunity. You definitely knew who wore the pants in that relationship. She did. He was a low life that she took care of. In fact, I didn't even want to hire him. I was pressured by my business partner who wanted me to give him an opportunity. I saw through his bullshit early on, but to keep the peace between she and I hired him. One of the worst mistakes of my life. That disgruntled employee teamed up with a gay couple and filed a complaint with the California Oversight Committee. They accused us of running a scam operation, claimed we weren't a legitimate company and that we were a shell corporation. Still, I wasn't super clear on what a shell corporation was. I complied with the California Department of Oversight's request, which was a full investigation as well as a financial audit needed to be conducted. After a thorough investigation, including a full financial professional audit, the state cleared us completely. We were in full compliance. Their claims were dismissed. I later found out it was these assholes who teamed up together as their names were brought up in another complaint. I was in disbelief. I don't know why, honestly. I felt the vibes when I hired him, and I felt the vibes when we signed the investment contract of the couple from hell. All I can say is that assholes like this need to be dealt with by a higher power. Karma. Yup. Some shit you have to leave to sweet karma. And this was one of them. Despite that victory, we hit another roadblock. Our conditional use permit was delayed. The city told us it would be 6 months before we could meet at a city meeting to seek approval for our CUP. 6 months felt like an eternity. Our lease was $12,500 a month, Just for that building, we still had the other that we took over from our business partner that we were also responsible for. We had 10 employees. Our manufacturer started raising prices and made things difficult. The pressure was felt. In addition, my manufacturer started to delay manufacturing. Jealousy and frustration crept in, so we began searching for a new manufacturer. Meanwhile, I felt like it was definitely time to investigate building our brewery. In the midst of things tightening up, we needed revenue, fast. I needed new equipment. I was ready to put down a deposit, but here I was, caught between delays, difficult relationships, legal battles, and mounting pressure to grow fast. What do I do? Honestly, I was at a crossroads, not sure which way to turn next, but I had some big meetings lined up, and I wanted to make a bold statement for She Beverage Company. We caught a lucky break with a local sports venue that had an opening for new products to be sold in their luxury suites, catering to elite clientele. The catch: if we purchased a suite package, they'd feature us on their menu. As a marketing investor, we jumped on it. I believe marketing and branding and advertising should be the largest part of your budget in order to reach a level of success. That sparked a bigger idea. Why not reach out to all the major local venues? I started contacting Angel Stadium, Dodger Stadium, the casinos, anywhere with high traffic and a vibe that matched our brand. Just as I hoped, they loved our story. Women creating for women. We became the go-to brand for catering to female customers in these spaces. We did presentations and beverage introductions at all local casinos from Viejas in San Diego to San Manuel in the Inland Empire. We crushed it at beer festivals, often drawing the longest lines. Then we got called back. A group of concessions was interested in our marketing strategy. I pitched them a custom product, and we created the hard blue lemonade just for Dodger Stadium. Boom! We were officially in one of the most iconic stadiums in Los Angeles, serving our product to thousands. As we soared, I knew it was time to invest in vehicles, real statement pieces on the road. I bought delivery trucks and Mini Coopers for messenger runs and meetings. Paid cash. Had them wrapped in bold She Beverage Company branding. Everywhere we went, people stopped us, asked, "Who is she?" A slogan I'd trademarked to build curiosity and buzz. Next up, Las Vegas. It was time to meet the Wall Street consultant. I wasn't going in empty-handed. I brought our flagship hard blue lemonade from Dodger Stadium, hard pink lemonade, and 8 different beer styles, 10 products total. Plus, our high-gravity octane and supplement waters. I also brought Relife, a supplement line born from a business deal gone sideways, but something I'd grown passionate about. It started as a plan to distribute to dialysis centers, but morphed into a 50-product supplement line we planned to launch later. The consultant was blown away. He couldn't believe I'd created all these products. He saw the urgent need for rapid growth. Phone calls started flying out to bankers, investors, and business contacts. What was supposed to be a 3-day meeting turned into nearly a month in Vegas, filled with meetings, pitches, and discussions about acquisitions. Everything was happening faster than I ever imagined. We met with potential sales managers. The consultant was already elevating our game. While I was in Vegas during my downtime, I combed the city. I saw so much growth there for our products. One of the things that stood on my mind was revenue. I was thinking about how much people were selling my product for. I was one of the most expensive products on the shelf. And as a wholesale product was one of the most expensive products being sold at wholesale to my vendors. But I wanted to tap into the larger market of returns. I need to purchase my own equipment, I thought. I paid my manufacturer at minimum $22 to $25 per case for manufacturing. He continued to overprice. I learned his price to make the actual product was $3 to $5 a case. We have to do something. I was anxious to get back to order my equipment. When we got back home, I threw myself into growing the business, but the delays kept piling up. Our conditional use permit, CUP, got pushed back again. Another 6 months. I kept wondering why the city kept shuffling us off their calendar. It was frustrating, to say the least. On top of that, we started feeling the sting of local resistance. Maybe I was missing something, so I reached out to a local brewery to see if they'd partner with us on a Halloween beer bash, something to unite and celebrate our community. They declined. When I told my business partner, she wasn't surprised. I figured they would, she said. I asked why. She told me there were whispers in town that some didn't like us because we were black, gay, and women. That hit me hard. I'd known this community was conservative, but I hadn't expected this kind of racism, especially since the brewers I approached included a Hispanic wife. Still, it made me pause. And then I learned the son of that brewery owner worked closely with the city. Another red flag amid the repeated CUP delays. We kicked off real advertising, TV commercials rolling across California, billboards lighting up arenas where our products were already making waves. But She Beverage Company was never just about business. It was about giving back. We started awarding scholarships to local kids, investing in the future of our community. Some of the scholarships went to girls living at the Los Angeles Mission, young women fighting against the odds. That feeling, knowing you're helping someone rewrite their story, it's hard to put into words. We bought blankets and distributed them to homeless people around the city. It was a small act, but it mattered. Then, out of nowhere, we got a threatening call from the city. They told us to stop providing food or blankets to the homeless. They said they didn't want us to advertise it either, like it was some kind of problem that needed hiding. When I asked why, they said they saw it as welcoming homelessness into our community. I couldn't believe it. The city was telling us not to help people in need. On top of that, I received death threats. It was terrifying, but we refused to back down. Instead, we went live on social media for several days straight, broadcasting everything. If anything happened to us, the world would know. We weren't afraid to stand up and show our work, no matter the threats. We also handed out toys to families and kids facing tough times, bringing a little light where it was needed most. She Beverage Company wasn't just selling drinks. We were building hope, extending hands, and fighting for people who often got ignored. I'm passionate about people, really helping them, and no amount of threats or pushback was going to stop that. By this point, we weren't just growing, we were acquiring. One of our first big moves was buying Mink Bath Bombs, a company that perfectly complemented our wellness line. Alongside our dedicated CBD water, it was a natural fit. Then came a game changer, an opportunity to purchase an early-stage cannabis company. We saw how perfectly it would align with our wellness products. Cannabis had powerful medicinal attributes, and I had a bold vision to create the first ever cannabis-infused beer. I even trademarked the name Cannabeer. I wanted to be the first woman-owned brand making waves in this space. I named it the Pink Leaf, bold, feminine, and unapologetically pioneering. I was lucky to have an insider tip that the cannabis industry was about to go legal in California. That set my wheels spinning. Suddenly, what we were building wasn't just attractive, it was revolutionary. I dreamed big. I wanted She Beverage Co. to be a powerhouse like Procter & Gamble or Unilever, asset heavy and stable, built to last. I didn't know much about the stock market, but I knew one thing. I couldn't let my shareholders down by risking their money on shaky ground. So, I studied the top performing companies, diving into industries with real profit potential. That's how we expanded into tech, right? When dating apps and transportation apps were booming. I launched She Meets, a dating app designed with enhanced safety protocols for modern dating. And then there was Pickup, a transportation app unlike any other, focused solely on picking up anything, anytime. It wasn't like your typical food delivery, grocery, or taxi apps. Our app was something entirely new. Through all this, I knew our company needed leadership that could scale these ambitious moves. I started searching for a qualified CEO, someone who could take the helm while I focused on what I do best, marketing and growing the company. This was more than business, it was a movement, and I was determined to make sure She Beverage led the way. But still, Something was missing. I had restless nights, my mind racing with one question. How do I bring all these incredible ideas full circle? How do I break into the sports world in a way that feels right for me? Spending time at arenas, rubbing shoulders with the WNBA, APG, and venues across the country ignited a new fire inside me. This was the space I needed to be in. But where exactly? Then it hit me like a lightning bolt. The answer was in football. I thought back to the empty feeling when my son quit playing football. Women and football, it was the perfect match. Women's football had been missing from the conversation for too long. That was my calling. I became laser focused. I wanted to build a women's football club dedicated to growing the sport. But this time, I wanted it to belong to me as She Beverage Company, as a public company would be owned by shareholders. This new venture would be my own. A passion project. I envisioned ownership teams, sports arenas, and a seamless marriage with She Beverage Co. Our product would be sold exclusively at the concessions. Our water, beer, hard lemonade hours, and hours alone fueling the fans and athletes alike. What would I call it? The Women's Football League Association, a game changer. A platform offering young women and girls the chance to become athletes, to shine. As I dug deeper, I discovered there was no collegiate program for women's football. So I started making calls, planting seeds. I believe my ideas helped influence the NFL's introduction of women's flag football. But I wasn't stopping there. My mission was clear. Build the biggest women's football organization that paid its players. Unlike other leagues that made athletes pay to play, I wanted to pay the women to value their talent and dedication. I plan to use my ownership shares and revenue to fuel this league and women's sports for years to come. And just when I thought we were complete, another opportunity came knocking. Brandier, a branded apparel platform that could create and dropship custom uniforms and merchandise. Genius. This was exactly what we needed for the Women's Football League Association. With that, I felt we were whole, a full organization ready to soar. Now it's time to build the Women's Football League Association, to launch new brands, and to put She Beverage Co. firmly on the map. Episode 2 closes here, but stay tuned for Episode 3, where we dig deep into the explosive growth of She Beverage Co. and the rise of the Women's Football League Association. And don't you dare think for a second that in Episode 3 I'm going to sit back and stay quiet. Nah, I'm finding my voice loud, clear, and unapologetic. I'm laying out why I'm so damn fired up about the Wall Street rape, the lies, the false allegations that fueled my rage and pushed me to fight harder. This isn't just my battle anymore. It's everyone's fight. You're about to see the receipts, the documented spending they flat out lied about to the world. Corruption exposed, no filter, no holding back. And just so you know, those photos I dropped in this documentary-style podcast, there's no denying my innocence. None. The best? Oh, it's coming. And it's going to blow your mind. Stay angry, stay ready, because the fight's just getting started.
They exchange. Welcome to the exchange. Let the truth ignite. When we play roles, we bring the darker light. The exchange. Conversation, controversy on the stage. Join the spark, feel the flame. This is the exchange. Step inside, no filter, no disguise. Pull the curtain back, expose the lies. Wall Street gangs, government chains. Truth for the people runs deep in our veins. Tune in, join in.